The first light of dawn slowly caresses the tops of tall trees. The air smells of damp earth, and each step on the dew-soaked grass sends a gentle ripple through the morning calm. Mist floats above the river in the distance, hiding and revealing the quiet shapes of the forest as squirrels chatter somewhere unseen. This is an ancient world, a land that will one day be called America, but for now it is only forest, river, and sky. There are no cities here, no machines, no marketplaces. The people who live here depend entirely on the rhythm of nature, its gifts, its moods, its silence. This is the story of those people who lived centuries ago, who knew how to pull fish from the current, sap from the bark, sweetness from the wild berries, and strength from the soil itself. Their mornings began with the smell of smoke and the crackle of fire. As the first light touched the ground, women went to the river, clay pots balanced on their hips, to fetch water and wash roots and fruits. The men walked into the forest, spears tipped with sharpened stone in hand, knives tied to their belts. Before hunting, they sat beneath a tree, eyes closed, listening to the birds, the rustle of leaves, the whisper of animals moving through the grass. Every breath was attention. They knew that the forest was their only market, and the wind their only guide. For them, hunting was not bloodlust. It was balance. When a deer was caught, the whole village shared. Some dried the meat, some shaped the bones into tools, some softened the hide into clothing. And when the hunt was over, they lit a small fire and let smoke rise to the sky, a prayer to the spirit of the forest, to thank it for its generosity. The women were masters of knowing the land's secrets. They knew which roots fed strength, which berries healed fever, and which leaves could kill. They peeled bark and dried it to use as medicine in the winter. Children learned to recognize the world by scent, to tell good from bad, life from danger. Their education came not from books, but from the forest's whispers and their mother's songs. Their meals were simple but full of nourishment. Corn, beans, and squash, the three sisters, as they called them. Corn gave energy, beans gave strength, and squash gave life through its oils and sweetness. They grew together in the same soil, the corn rising tall, the beans climbing its stalks, the squash spreading its broad leaves across the earth to keep it moist and cool. It was more than farming. It was cooperation, a quiet science born from harmony with the land. When the summer sun ripened the fields, the whole village came alive with song. Drums echoed across the open fields, children danced, and women laughed while gathering crops. Every grain they harvested was a promise, a sign that life would continue. At night, they sat around the fire, cooking flatbread from corn, roasting fish from the river, and chewing sweet dried fruit as the stars blinked above them. Before the cold months, they began to prepare. They smoked meat, dried fish, and buried nuts deep under cool soil to last through the snow. When winter came, and the river turned to glass, they gathered close to the fire, wrapped in fur and silence. Outside, the forest slept beneath a white blanket, but inside, stories kept them warm. Elders told tales of how their ancestors learned to plant the first corn, how they once cut holes in the ice to catch fish, and how a single seed once saved a whole village. Every story was about food, not just eating, but gratitude. They believed that every bite carried a spirit, and to waste it was to anger the earth. Their lives moved in circles: birth, growth, harvest, rest. No heri, no noise, just the slow, steady heartbeat of survival. As the night deepened, the fire's glow softened. Insects hummed faintly in the dark. The old woman's voice faded as she whispered her final words to the children beside her. Everything you eat, little ones, is a gift. Always thank the world before you take from it. Her voice melted into the silence, into the breath of the forest. The night grew still. Outside, the leaves trembled in the wind, the river sighed, and you, listening from another time, drift into sleep, back into that ancient world where every breath was sacred, every meal was a blessing, and every night carried a quiet story within its flame. The forest is different now. The trees stand still and white, their branches heavy with snow. The river, once alive with ripples and silver flashes of fish, has fallen silent under a sheet of ice. Smoke rises lazily from the huts scattered along the edge of the woods, each one breathing warmth into the frozen air. Inside, the people of this ancient land begin their quiet winter life. The days are short and pale, and the nights stretch endlessly. Yet, no one fears the cold. They know it well, as one knows an old friend who returns each year with stories and lessons. Inside the huts, fires burn low, casting soft orange light upon faces wrapped in fur and blankets of woven bark. The walls are lined with dried meat, strings of fish, bunches of herbs, and jars of nuts and berries preserved in animal fat. Each one is a memory of the seasons that came before, a piece of summer held within the heart of winter. Every evening, as the wind moans outside, they gather around the central fire. The air smells of smoke and roasted corn. A woman stirs a pot of thick stew made from deer meat, squash, and beans, its steam rising slowly, curling toward the ceiling like the breath of a dream. She adds crushed herbs, sage, and wild onion, their aroma filling the room. The children sit quietly, watching, their faces glowing in the firelight. When she finally dips a ladle into the pot and pours the stew into wooden bowls, the first sip warms the body like sunlight remembered. Outside, snowflakes fall without sound. The hunters have hung their tools. The forest gives little in winter, and so they rest. But not all days are still. When the sun glows pale behind the clouds and the wind calms, small groups of men go out across the frozen ground, their feet wrapped in fur, carrying bone-tipped spears. They move with patience, following the faint tracks of rabbits or deer through the snow. A single successful hunt means food for a week. Meat to smoke, hides to mend clothing, and bones to carve into needles or arrowheads. When they return, the village awakens with soft celebration. Children run to the edge of the woods to greet them, laughter breaking through the cold. The women prepare the fire, and soon the smell of roasting meat fills the air once again. They eat slowly, gratefully, for every meal is a triumph over the long winter. In the evenings, the elders speak of the ancient winters, of times when the snow never seemed to end, and people learned to survive by listening to the earth itself. They tell the story of the cold spirits, invisible beings that travel with the wind, testing the patience and gratitude of humankind. Those who complain, the old woman says softly, feel the cold deeper, but those who sing, who share their food, are warmed by the fire of the spirits themselves. So they sing, quiet songs that rise like prayers. The rhythm is slow, steady, a heartbeat beneath the snow. The drum made from deer hide echoes gently, like footsteps of ancestors walking nearby. Their voices are not loud, but they fill the hut, blending with the crackle of the fire, melting the edges of the silence. As weeks pass, the people begin to count the days by the growth of light. Each dawn, a little brighter, each dusk a little softer. They know spring is coming, even when the cold still bites their fingers. The women begin to check the food stores, jars half empty, roots nearly gone, and they whisper quiet thanks that they have made it this far. One morning, a hunter wakes before dawn and steps outside. The air bites his face, but he stands still, listening. In the distance, beneath the frozen hush, he hears it, water, faint but alive. The river has begun to move again beneath the ice. He smiles, for it means the world is waking. Days later, drops of water fall from the trees. The snow begins to soften. The huts smell of smoke and melting earth. Soon, the people will take their tools and baskets once more, to gather new life from the woods. But before they do, there is one last feast, a celebration of survival, of endurance, of gratitude. That night, the fire burns high. The stew pot is full once more, made from all that remains: cornmeal, dried berries, and strips of smoked meat. The people eat slowly, each bite a promise. They share what little they have, knowing that to give is to receive warmth that no fire can create. The old woman lifts her hand, her voice trembling yet kind. "Listen," she says, "the world sleeps and wakes as we do. The land gives and we give back. Remember, children, when you eat from the earth, eat with respect. When you hunt, hunt with humility. When you live, live as part of the great circle. Her words drift upward, lost in the crackling of the fire. Outside, the stars shimmer faintly through the thinning clouds. The snow glows blue beneath the moon. The people sleep, one by one, their dreams full of rivers breaking free, of green shoots piercing the soil, of warmth returning to their bones. In the distance, the forest sighs. The wind changes, carrying the scent of wet bark and promise. The land turns over in its sleep, ready to wake again. And as the last ember flickers, you too feel the stillness settle around you. The ancient calm of a world that moves in perfect rhythm, that feeds its people, that asks only for gratitude in return. Slowly, your thoughts fade. The sound of the fire grows softer. The forest hums beyond hearing, and the snow melts quietly beneath the stars. You breathe out, and the night holds you, a part of that old world, resting in the arms of peace, waiting gently for spring. The world is waking. The long sleep of winter has ended, and the forest breathes again. Beneath the melting snow, tiny streams of water run down into the earth, whispering life into the waiting roots. The air smells new, a mix of damp bark, wet soil, and sunlight. The people step outside their huts with quiet wonder, their breath visible in the cool morning air. Everywhere, the sound of dripping water and the slow murmur of the river returning to life. The hunters walk along the banks, listening to the rush of thawed streams. Their feet sink into soft mud, where the first green shoots begin to appear. Birds return, calling from the treetops, their voices sharp and joyful after the long silence. Children laugh again, chasing shadows across the open ground. The old woman smiles and says, "The earth has opened her eyes. Now begins the time of work, gentle, careful work that will feed them through the year." The men sharpen their wooden digging sticks. The women weave baskets from reeds softened in the water. Together they walk to the open fields, where last year's dried stalks stand like ghosts. They clear them away, thanking each one for its gift, then break the soil with patient rhythm. Lift, press, turn. The earth is dark and cold, but beneath it lies the memory of warmth. They begin with corn, the eldest sister. The seeds are saved from last summer, carefully chosen, kept dry and safe all through the winter. The women kneel, pressing each seed gently into the soil, whispering soft prayers. Beside the corn, they plant beans, the second sister, who climbs and gives strength. Around them, they place the seeds of squash, the youngest sister, whose wide leaves will protect the ground from the burning sun. The three sisters, growing together, bound in a quiet promise. Days pass and the sun grows bolder. Tiny leaves appear. The people tend the fields with love, not haste. They know the plants listen, so they speak softly, never shout, never curse the rain or the heat. They move in rhythm with the land, wake with the sun, rest at dusk. The rivers too are generous now. The men carve small boats from hollow logs and drift into the shallows, their spears ready. The fish are strong after the winter, shining like moving mirrors beneath the water. The men watch, silent, patient, until the time comes. A flash, a strike, a ripple. When the catch is good, they return singing, their voices carrying across the fields. The village gathers, the fish are cleaned, and the smell of roasting flesh fills the evening air. Children collect herbs and flowers from the forest edge, wild garlic, mint, and dandelion greens. The women crush them with stones, mixing them with cornmeal to make soft bread. Others gather maple sap from the trees, dripping it slowly into clay pots, then boiling it down into sweet syrup over the fire. The air smells of sugar and smoke. It is a season of small delights. At night, when the stars rise clear and close, they hold a quiet festival. Not grand, not loud, just the sound of flutes made of bone, the heartbeat of drums, and the soft voices of gratitude. We thank the ground, they sing. We thank the water, we thank the wind. The fire burns gently, its light flickering on smiling faces. No one rushes, no one worries. Life has returned, and that is enough. In the following weeks, the fields turn green. The corn climbs higher, the beans twist upward, the squash spreads wide and heavy. The people move through their days in peace, hunting small game, gathering fruits, drying fish in the sun. Children learn to weave nets, to shape clay pots, to listen for rain in the distant clouds. The world feels full again, balanced and alive. Sometimes, during the quiet hours before dawn, an elder sits by the river, watching mist rise from the water. He remembers his youth, the hunger of hard winters, the joy of first harvests. He dips his hand into the cold current and murmurs a blessing. Let the earth never grow tired of feeding us, and let us never grow tired of thanking her. When the first corn ripens, they hold another feast. The women roast the ears over open flames until the kernels pop and golden juice runs down their fingers. The men bring baskets of berries, red, blue, black, and pour them into bowls of carved wood. Honey is drizzled, songs are sung, and laughter moves through the air like wind through leaves. The children run barefoot across the grass, their faces sticky with sweetness. The elders smile, watching them, knowing that this joy is the true reward of their labor. For every seed planted with care, every drop of sweat given to the soil, the earth has given back 100-fold. As night falls, the fire crackles softly, the feast quiets, and the people sit together in content silence. Above them, the stars shimmer brighter than ever. The old woman speaks once more, her voice low and kind. The land teaches patience, she says. You cannot hurry what grows. You can only love it, feed it, and wait. Her words sink deep into the hearts of those who listen. The fire burns low, the insects sing their summer song, and the forest hums in peace. Somewhere far away, the river whispers under the moonlight, carrying stories of those who came before and those yet to come. You close your eyes and feel the slow rhythm of that ancient land, the steady breathing of the earth beneath you, the quiet gratitude in every sound. The night holds you, gentle and deep, like the soil holds the seed. And as you drift into sleep, you know that you too are part of the same circle, born of the earth, fed by it, and returning always to its calm embrace. As the years rolled by, the settlers' food habits evolved into a rhythm, one that echoed the pulse of the land. By now, they had learned to listen to the whispers of nature, the signals of the wind, the hum of the bees, and the songs of the seasons. They had discovered that every grain, every leaf, and every creature had a time, and that patience was the secret ingredient of survival. Spring brought renewal. The villagers collected young greens, nettles, and wild herbs. Women brewed nettle tea, believed to strengthen the blood after a long, harsh winter. Gardens bloomed again, filled with onions, peas, and leeks. In the nearby forest, wild garlic spread a fragrance that filled the air like a promise of life returning. By summer, the fields shimmered with golden wheat. Children chased butterflies through tall grass as men harvested under the burning sun. The women baked loaves in clay ovens, their crusts browned and cracked like the soil itself. Meals were simple bread dipped in honey, milk, and sometimes a handful of berries. Autumn was a time of abundance and urgency. Everyone worked to store food for the cold months ahead. They gathered apples, dried herbs, and salted meat. Smoked fish hung from rafters, and barrels of sauerkraut lined the cellar walls. The air smelled of earth, smoke, and cider, the scent of a civilization preparing for sleep. Then came winter, a silent testing season. The snow muffled all sound. Inside wooden homes, families huddled by firelight, sharing the last of their stores. Porridge made from dried corn or oats became their daily meal. Sometimes, a rabbit stew would simmer in the pot, filling the room with warmth and hope. They ate slowly, gratefully, savoring every bite as if it were a gift. Food was not merely sustenance, it was identity, connection, and story. A loaf of bread was a bond between neighbors. A pot of stew was a sign of unity. Every meal carried memories of toil and tenderness, of hunger and resilience. As years turned into generations, the settlers' recipes blended with the land itself. Corn and beans, brought by native tribes, became sacred staples. Venison and wild turkey turned into symbols of the hunt. Every family had its secret, a way to smoke meat longer, to spice stew better, to make bread rise higher. At night, after the day's work was done, they would gather around the fire. Someone would hum a song. Another would tell a story of a year when crops failed but hearts did not. Children would listen, eyes wide, learning not only how to eat but how to endure. If you close your eyes, you can almost hear them. The crackle of fire, the rustle of dry corn, the faint murmur of gratitude. Their world was rough, their meals humble, but each bite carried something eternal, the taste of survival and the quiet faith that life would return with the sun.